You had total awesome amazing fun and I missed out on it? Wait, what if there's more awesome amazing fun with friends happening somewhere Ponyville right now that I'm missing out on too?
So I was watching the episode Too Many Pinkies from season 3 of My Little Pony, and it gets me thinking about the whole thing about FOMO, or as it's also known as fear of missing out. And I'm sure that we've all felt it from time to time. We kind of have that fear of missing out whenever we're on social media, where we're scrolling and we kind of notice, oh, someone's live streaming, or there's this new cool tech tool you can use, like a new graphics card, or some new event going on that, if you're not there for it, you missed out, and too bad. But the thing is, missing out is okay. We don't have to attend everything just because society tells us to, and that's totally fine. You don't have to be part of everything out there. And honestly, if you even try to be part of everything, you're spreading yourself way too thin. And along with that, you kind of also lose sense of yourself. I know I did when I tried to be part of everything out there. But if you don't believe me, then let's walk through the episode. The episode starts out with Pinkie Pie learning about all these different things that her friends are doing. Applejack was carrying a load with her sister, Rainbow Dash was taking care of the clouds, and Twilight Sparkle was learning a new magic trick. These all seem like very exciting things for Pinkie to experience, but she wanted to be everywhere at once. And what made it worse is when Rainbow Dash asked her if she would like to hang out with her at the pond, while Applejack asked her to raise the walls of the barn with her. Both of these sounded really exciting to Pinkie, but she didn't want to choose one over the other because she feared that she'd miss out on the other thing. Twilight passively brought up the idea to her that she could just make a whole bunch of clones of herself and just be in so many places at once. Little did Twilight know that she would actually carry through with that, because Pinkie knew about a legend where there was a pond where she could clone herself. Pinkie did manage to make a clone of herself, and that gave her the opportunity to be in two places at once. One of them went over to see Rainbow Dash and hang out with her at the pond, while the other was on the way to see Applejack. And while this seems like a great idea, it kinda isn't either. Because you gotta understand, even though the real Pinkie thought that she could experience both things at the same time, the thing is only one of them are the real Pinkie, so the real Pinkie's only gonna experience one thing anyway. So it really doesn't make a difference. But I digress. The Pinkie Pie that was going to see Applejack got interrupted by Fluttershy with a little picnic that she was doing with her animal friends. And while this seemed like a really fun thing for Pinkie to do, she got afraid of missing out on Applejack's barn raising again. Because obviously, if she was there for Fluttershy, she wouldn't be there for Applejack like they had originally planned. So she freaks out and goes to meet the other Pinkie who's with Rainbow Dash, and they get the idea of cloning more of them to be at even more places at once. But as it kept doing this, it turned out to be a huge problem. The real Pinkie didn't know that having too many clones of herself would cause a lot of mayhem across Ponyville. Yeah, she would be there for all her friends, but maybe a little too much even. And now with all these Pinkies causing mayhem across Ponyville, which is not what Pinkie's intention was, none of the ponies in Ponyville, not even her friends, could tell each one of them apart from the real Pinkie, which made the real Pinkie feel like she lost what made her unique. The sense that her friends couldn't even tell her apart from the rest of them really put her down. I mean, imagine if you were in Pinkie's hooves. Wouldn't you kind of feel the same way too? If your friends couldn't even tell the real you from your clones, that'd honestly feel kind of sad, not gonna lie. Because what your friends appreciate about you is how you're unique from everyone else. There's something unique about you that they like compared to everyone else. That's why they chose to be your friend at the end of the day. And as we see with Pinkie, she felt very distraught and almost depressed even, because she didn't feel like she was unique from the rest of the Pinkies because her friends couldn't even tell them apart. This also does bring up the idea of how that fear of missing out and wanting to be everywhere at once can kill our identity. Because by being in so many places at once, we kind of lose track of the things that mean the most to us. And the things that mean most to us are the things that make us unique. Our personality is usually driven by what we prioritize and what we want to do. And while it can be hard to choose between two different things to do or which friend to hang out with at a certain time, we make our decisions based on what our priorities are, which is part of our personality. So there's no reason to beat yourself up about missing out on something for something else. because that's just part of human nature. We don't need to be mad at ourselves for that. You just have to make the most out of the moment you're in and where you are right now. But heading back to the episode, as an attempt to get rid of all the Pinkie clones and keep the real Pinkie Pie in Ponyville, Twilight had the idea to send back all the Pinkie clones to the pond that the Pinkie clones came from, while keeping the real Pinkie Pie in Ponyville. The problem is, though, is that she couldn't tell who the real Pinkie Pie was out of all the clones out there. Twilight and Spike did come across the Pinkie Pie that looked a little bit more depressed and mellow, who seemed really out of character for the Pinkie we all know and love. And that mellow and kind of depressed Pinkie Pie was trying to think of ideas of how she could get her friends to realize that she was the real Pinkie Pie, even though she was unsure if she was the real Pinkie too. But she wanted her friends to at least be happy that the real Pinkie Pie was back to see them. That Pinkie could tell that her friends really did miss the real Pinkie, and she wanted to do everything that she could to make sure that they have the real Pinkie back, because she knows that that would bring a smile to their faces. And just right there, she had the idea that the real Pinkie would do anything to be back with her friends again, even if it meant doing the most boring thing possible to be with her friends again. Which gave Twilight the idea later in the episode to round up all the Pinkies together and have them do the most boring thing you could even imagine: watching paint dry. Yep. I mean, yeah, you could also watch grass grow, but watching paint dry is pretty equivalent to the most boring thing you could think of. Or for me, that would be watching my YouTube analytics.
Oh, hey, look at the birdie!
As all the Pinkies sat there watching the paint dry, of course, slowly but surely, the clones started to get distracted, one by one. And, oh gosh, that Generation 3 reference they put in there. Oh, man. But we could tell that those were all the fake Pinkies because the real Pinkie would actually stick around to be with her friends again. The real Pinkie would do anything, even watching paint dry the entire time, to be with her friends again. Which, yeah, that's totally outside of Pinkie's character. That totally goes outside of what Pinkie would want to do. But even if it meant sitting through the most boring lecture, watching paint dry, watching grass grow, you could name the most boring thing to her, she just wanted to be with her friends again because that meant the most to her. That meant more to her than playing musical instruments, or baking cakes, or throwing parties. Being with her friends is what meant the most to her. And she would do anything to make it happen. And as soon as they were left to the last two Pinkies, this is where the test really got hard for her. If her will to be with her friends again was strong enough, she would win.
Can't take it anymore! Some ponies making balloon animals! What? Where?
And luckily enough, her will was strong enough to where she was the last Pinkie standing. The real Pinkie Pie was reunited with her friends, which meant more to her than anything else. Because as you can see, it's not just her that missed being with her friends missed being with her. As you may remember from earlier in the episode, Pinkie was really distraught and depressed that her friends couldn't even tell her from the rest of the clones. It shows one really important lesson that I want to show, is that what really builds your personality and your identity are the people you get to know, the friends you have, and the family that you have. Because your personality and your identity is very much built on the people's lives that you touch, and vice versa. Not just by the things that you get to do, even if you feel like you have to be there for everything. It's the people that we get to know, and the people that we get to hang out with. So before you let that fear of missing out get to you, just stop for a minute and ask yourself what's most important to you. Is it just trying to be at everything just for the fun of it? Or is it because you want to be there for your friends? And even if you have a hard time choosing which friend to hang out with, that's okay. Just really sit down and think about it. Because whatever you choose, your friends and family will understand. You don't have to be in more than one place at once and drive yourself crazy. You just have to be you at the end of the day and choose what you think is most important. You know, I still remember those times when I was trying to be everywhere at once, especially in my online space. I still think of those times when I had to post a video up every week and when I had to live stream so often. And at the same time, I was missing out on what my friends and family were doing IRL. And sometimes I felt like I had to be in two places at once too. And it was just hard. Being on social media, chatting with my friends while being there with my family or my friends IRL, it was just hard to do it. And at the same time, I noticed that over time, as I kept this pattern going, was that I was starting to lose sense of myself at the same time. I was losing sense of who I really was. I was losing sense of what made me unique from everyone else. It's something that I tried to strive for, and I felt like I got to a point where being everywhere at once was kind of consuming my life. So what I'm trying to get across is that we just have to live in the moment with where we are right now. Because at the end of the day, it's the people that we get to know, the people that we associate with, our friends and our family in that moment who make us who we are and make our lives more enriching. And you really can't ask for anything better than that.
Dear Princess Celestia, it's great to have fun, but it's even greater to have great friends. And having lots of friends means that you sometimes have to make choices as to whom you'll spend your time with. But that's okay, because good friends will always give you lots of opportunities to have fun. So even if you're missing out, it's never for long. Respectfully yours, Pinkie Pie.
Thanks for watching, and as always, we are Eternal for Life.